What if I told you the world's largest book weighs over 150 kilograms? The world's largest book, the Quirky Atlas, is housed in the British Library in London. This massive tome measures 1.75 meters tall and 1.90 meters wide, making it a true heavyweight in the literary world. Weighing in at 150 kilograms, it's almost impossible to lift without help. Despite its size, this giant atlas is not just a record holder, but a treasure trove of geography and history for book lovers. Did you know that William Shakespeare remains one of the most influential figures in literature? As an English playwright and poet, he is rightly regarded as one of the most significant authors in world literature. Despite the fact that no portrait of him was created during his lifetime, his works, such as Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, and Macbeth, continue to resonate and inspire people worldwide. Shakespeare not only expanded the boundaries of language by creating over 1,700 new words, but he also shaped the foundations of how human nature is understood in literature. His works have continued to influence literature and theater for centuries. Did you know that in Iceland there is a beach that constantly changes shape? On Iceland's southern coast, there is a black sand beach that constantly changes its shape depending on weather conditions and tides. Each year, locals and tourists notice that the beach's outlines shift significantly. New dunes appear in some places, while the sand disappears entirely in others. This phenomenon is caused by strong winds and underwater currents that transport the sand along the coastline. The beach is considered one of Iceland's most mysterious natural sights. It's hard to believe, but giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae. Despite the fact that a giraffe's neck is much longer, both giraffes and humans have the same number of neck vertebrae, 7. These bones provide support for the head and allow neck mobility. In giraffes, they are simply much longer than in humans. This fascinating fact highlights the amazing diversity of evolution and nature, despite the external differences between species. Did you know Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky? When you look up at the night sky, you probably notice a bright star shining more brilliantly than all the others. That's Sirius, also known as the Dog Star. Located in the constellation Canis Major, Sirius has a magnitude of -1.46, making it the brightest star visible from Earth. Although it seems close, Sirius is about 8.6 light-years away, adding a sense of mystery and wonder to the night sky. Superfetation. Is it possible to get pregnant while already pregnant? Could this really be true? It turns out, yes. Superfetation is a rare medical phenomenon in which a woman can get pregnant while already being pregnant. This occurs when ovulation continues even after conception, which typically doesn't happen as the body halts the ovulation cycle after pregnancy begins. As a result of this rare condition, a woman can carry 2 embryos of different ages simultaneously. Though extremely rare in humans, this phenomenon occurs more frequently in the animal kingdom, especially in certain species of fish and mammals. It's amazing but true. The human body is full of surprises, and sometimes nature can break its own rules. Can you imagine that the moon is slowly drifting away from Earth? Each year, the moon moves about 3.5 centimeters farther away from Earth. This happens due to tidal interactions between the Earth and the moon. Billions of years ago, the moon was much closer, and in billions of years, it may drift out of Earth's gravitational pull altogether. Though this process is incredibly slow, scientists track it using lasers and reflectors left on the moon by the Apollo missions. It turns out that Spain has a ghost city built for thousands of people, but no one lives there. In the Spanish province of Galicia, there is a place called Ciudad de la Cultura, City of Culture, which was built with grand ambitions. It was meant to be a major cultural hub for scholars, artists, and creative individuals. However, the project ran into financial difficulties, and now this city stands mostly abandoned. Its modern buildings, inspired by ancient designs, stand as a colossal monument to unfulfilled dreams. This place attracts both tourists and architecture enthusiasts, even though most of the structures remain closed and unused. Can you imagine that in Colorado, there's a town where it's illegal to die? In the town of Nederland, Colorado, there's a strange and even absurd law. You can't die in the town. This law stems from a local history involving attempts to preserve a man's body in a frozen state. Now the town has declared itself a territory for immortals, and locals jokingly claim that they're simply not allowed to die. Of course, the law isn't enforceable, but many people visit Netherlands to laugh at this odd tradition and learn about the story of the frozen eternal resident. Can you believe that a shrimp's heart is in its head? Yes, you heard that right. A shrimp's heart is located in its head. This fascinating fact makes the shrimp unique among sea creatures. In its tiny head, both the brain and heart work in harmony to keep the shrimp alive. It's like a little command center where all the vital functions happen in one place. This quirky anatomy allows shrimp to remain highly efficient and agile in their underwater world, making them one of nature's most interesting creations. How much do you think the world's largest burger weighs? In 2017, a Michigan restaurant cooked up the world's biggest burger, weighing in at a whopping 1,164 kilograms. That's over 2,500 pounds of beef. The burger was stacked with 300 pounds of cheese, 150 pounds of lettuce, 150 pounds of onions, and 100 pounds of bacon. It took 10 hours to cook and was served to 350 guests. That's one burger you'll never forget. Octopuses lay eggs like chickens. Octopuses are oviparous, meaning they lay eggs like many other animals. A female octopus can lay thousands of tiny eggs and guards them diligently until they hatch. During this period, she does not eat and devotes all her energy to protecting her offspring. After the eggs hatch, the mother octopus often dies from exhaustion. This self-sacrificing parenting instinct makes octopuses remarkable creatures, willing to give everything for the next generation. Why does the King of Hearts in a deck of cards have no mustache? If you've ever taken a close look at a standard deck of cards, you may have noticed that the King of Hearts is the only king without a mustache. This small detail, often overlooked, makes him unique among the other kings. Depicted as clean-shaven, this little quirk adds a bit of mystery to the standard deck of cards that we all know and play with. Have you ever wondered if sand can turn into glass? Glass is made by heating sand to a temperature above 1,400 degrees Celsius, at which point it melts. The result is a material that looks completely different from the original sand. This process was discovered in ancient Egypt and is still used today to make everything from windows to high-tech smartphone screens. So ordinary sand literally transforms into a transparent material that has changed our world. Surprisingly, ancient mirrors were actually dangerous. Early mirrors were made from metals like copper or bronze, which could create blinding reflections and even accidental fires. In Roman times, convex mirrors that concentrated sunlight were popular, much like magnifying glasses. This made them both dangerous and expensive, accessible only to the wealthiest. Modern mirrors are safe, but ancient ones still hold a bit of magic and danger within them. Can you imagine that the Tianzi Mountains in China inspired fantasy films? Located in Hunan province, the Tianzi Mountains are famous for their unique peaks that seem to have grown out of the earth, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of scenes from science fiction movies. These mountains served as inspiration for the creators of the film Avatar and are considered one of China's most incredible natural wonders. For tourists, cable cars have been built that provide breathtaking views of these peculiar rock formations. Is it true that in Argentina there is a river that burns? The Quirky River in Argentina is famous for its unusual fiery phenomena. Periodically, fiery geysers erupt from its depths. This happens due to underground methane deposits, which ignite when they come into contact with air. Amazingly, this river is not only a beautiful natural phenomenon, but also raises concerns among scientists, as constant gas emissions could signal larger natural disasters. Locals call it the River of Spirits, linking it to ancient legends. Did you know that there are hotels in Japan run by robots? In Japan, there is a hotel chain called Henna Hotel, where guests are served by robots. Robots can greet visitors, check them in, and even deliver their luggage to their rooms. In some cases, cleaning and room service are also handled by machines. This innovative approach brings a futuristic feel to hospitality, making Japan one of the leaders in robotic service. And although it sounds like the future, you can experience this today. Did you know there are more trees on Earth than stars in the Milky Way? Imagine this. There are about 3 trillion trees on Earth, while the Milky Way contains an estimated 100 to 400 billion stars. This means there are more trees on our planet than stars in our galaxy. This surprising fact highlights the abundance of life on Earth. Every time you walk through a forest or see a tree in your yard, remember how vital these giants are for sustaining life, providing oxygen, and regulating the climate. The Eiffel Tower grows in summer. Every year when summer hits Paris, the Eiffel Tower undergoes a little growth spurt. Its height can increase by a few centimeters due to the thermal expansion of iron. As temperatures rise, the metal expands, making the tower stretch upwards as if waking up from a winter slumber. This phenomenon shows how even majestic and sturdy structures, like the Eiffel Tower, are influenced by nature. And when summer ends and temperatures drop, the tower shrinks back to its usual height. It's a reminder that architecture and nature are always dancing together in harmony. What was the real reason behind the emergence of the first coins? The first coins appeared around the 7th century BC and were primarily made of silver and gold. The value of a coin was directly related to the value of the metal it was made from, which determined its purchasing power. The introduction of coins was a significant step in the development of the economy as they simplified exchange processes and allowed for the formation of more complex systems of trade and wealth accumulation. Can you believe that the electric chair was actually invented by a dentist? Believe it or not, the electric chair, one of the most infamous devices in history, was conceived by Alfred P. Southwick, a dentist. Southwick designed the electric chair in the late 19th century as a more humane alternative to hanging. This shocking invention forever changed the history of capital punishment. It's almost ironic to think that a person dedicated to caring for people's teeth would create such a grim device. What if I told you that English is a blend of languages? Modern English is a true mosaic, woven with elements from German, French, Scandinavian languages, and many others. Although it is currently the official language of the United Kingdom, this was not always the case. English spread worldwide thanks to the British Empire, and its success is largely due to the vast array of words it has absorbed from different languages, making it easy to communicate and adaptable to diverse cultures. This is why English has become a global language. Did you know that sea cucumbers eject their insides to survive? Sea cucumbers are true masters of survival, and their methods might surprise you. When these unusual creatures face predators, they can literally expel their internal organs. This extreme defense mechanism distracts the predator while the sea cucumber escapes. But don't worry, after a while, the sea cucumber regenerates its organs as if nothing had happened. This unusual survival mechanism allows them to thrive in the harshest marine environments, showing that nature sometimes finds very unexpected solutions. Is it true that the Olympics once included art competitions? From 1912 to 1948, the Olympic Games did indeed award medals to artists, composers, sculptors, and architects. During this era, art competed alongside sports, and medals were awarded for artistic disciplines such as sculpture, painting, music, and even architecture. This blend of sports and art symbolized that physical strength and creative talent could go hand in hand. Although there is no art segment in the Olympics today, this part of history evokes admiration and nostalgia for a time when artistic achievements were recognized on par with athletic feats. Camels, the giants of the desert. Despite popular belief, camels didn't always live in deserts. They originally descended from ancient animals that roamed the forests of North America around 30 million years ago. Over time, they migrated to Africa and Asia, where their humps became an adaptation for surviving in hot climates. These humps, filled with fat, allow camels to go without water for up to 2 weeks. They can drink up to 50 liters of water at once, making them masters of survival in environments where other creatures would perish. Camels remain a vital part of life for many desert communities. Did you know the world's oldest recipe is for beer? The oldest known beer recipe dates back to around 4,000 years before our era in ancient Sumeria. This ancient beer shows how long the tradition of brewing has been preserved. Sumerians brewed beer from barley, and this process was a key part of their culture for millennia. Who would have thought that the tradition of beer is so ancient and still thriving today? Who would have thought that jellyfish are 95% water? Jellyfish are almost ethereal in appearance, and no wonder, 95% of their bodies are made of water. This high water content allows them to float gracefully through the ocean, moving with the currents as if weightless. Despite their simple structure, jellyfish have existed for hundreds of millions of years, perfectly adapted to life in the ocean. Their delicate, watery forms remind us of the fragility and beauty of marine ecosystems. Can you imagine that monkeys can use money? Experiments have shown that monkeys can be trained to use money. They demonstrate an understanding of its value, make economic choices, and exhibit human-like traits such as protesting against injustice or even engaging in prostitution among male monkeys. This finding raises questions about how much our economic behavioral patterns may be common across species. The inventor of pop-up ads regrets it. The story of the most annoying internet invention. In the 90s, pop-up ads seemed like a great idea. Ethan Zuckerman created them to separate advertising content from the main one, but they quickly became an annoying part of the internet. Years later, Zuckerman publicly apologized for his invention, admitting that it caused more harm than good. This is an example of how technologies created with good intentions can turn into real problems. One spaghetti noodle is called spaghetto. Spaghetti is one of the world's most popular dishes, but did you know that if you have just one noodle, it's called a spaghetto? This quirky grammar twist adds a touch of loneliness to an otherwise delicious meal. So if you ever find yourself dining alone on a single strand of spaghetti, don't feel bad. You're just following proper Italian grammar rules. Italian grammar makes food not only delicious, but also a little more poetic. Did you know that France sent a cat into space? In 1963, France launched Félicette, also known as Astrocat, into space. Electrodes were carefully implanted in her brain, allowing scientists to receive neurological signals during her voyage among the stars. Félicette bravely journeyed into space and miraculously survived the mission, becoming the first cat in history to venture beyond Earth. She not only etched her name into the annals of space exploration, but also showed that animals have been important pioneers in human cosmic endeavors. What do you think is the largest economy in the world? Of course, it's the USA. With a GDP exceeding 23 trillion, the US continues to lead the global economy, consistently maintaining its position as a world leader. The country's economy is based on high technology, innovation, financial services, and a strong military industry. The U.S. remains a global hub for investments, startups, and corporate solutions. Its economic power allows it to influence international markets and set trends in global business, making it not only an economic superpower, but also a vital center for new technology and innovation development. It's hard to believe, but the Hercules beetle can lift 850 times its own weight. This incredible insect lives up to its mighty name. The Hercules beetle is capable of lifting loads that are 850 times heavier than its own body weight. With such astonishing strength, it's no wonder that this beetle stands as a symbol of nature's incredible feats of strength. The Hercules beetle is a true powerhouse in the insect world, showing that even the smallest creatures can perform extraordinary feats. Galileo didn't invent the telescope. Many people believe that Galileo Galilei invented the telescope, but in reality, he improved upon an existing design. The first telescope was actually created by a Dutch spectacle maker named Hans Lippershey in 1608. Galileo made enhancements to this design and used the telescope for astronomical observations, discovering phenomena such as lunar mountains and Jupiter's moons. His contributions to science are invaluable, but it's important to remember that great discoveries often build upon the work of those who came before. Can cockroaches survive a nuclear explosion? Cockroaches have long earned a reputation as super survivors, capable of withstanding even the most extreme conditions, including high levels of radiation. But is it true that they can survive a nuclear explosion? In reality, cockroaches can indeed survive radiation exposure, but there are creatures far better adapted to this, like certain types of fungi and microbes. Nevertheless, cockroaches remain a symbol of resilience, able to survive conditions that would kill most other living creatures. Did you know that medieval winemakers used ton as a measurement? In the Middle Ages, the term ton was a standard unit of measurement used to quantify wine. 1 ton referred to the volume of wine that could fill a large cask. This old unit of measurement was integral to the wine trade across Europe, shaping commerce and trade routes. Today, the term may seem outdated, but its legacy lives on in the language of winemakers and traders, reminding us of how ancient practices have shaped modern traditions. Did you know your keyboard is dirtier than a toilet seat? It sounds awful, but your keyboard can be a real breeding ground for germs. Studies have shown that keyboards often contain more bacteria than toilet seats. Dust, food crumbs, and microbes accumulate on the keys over time. That's why regularly cleaning your keyboard isn't just a good habit, it's an important hygiene measure. A keyboard cleaner and wet wipes are your best friends in the battle against germs. Is it true that time flows differently in space? Yes, and it's due to Einstein's theory of relativity. The faster you move or the closer you are to an object with a strong gravitational field, the slower time passes for you relative to the rest of the universe. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station literally age more slowly because they're moving at high speeds. This phenomenon is called gravitational time dilation. Why did the famous bridge in Venice almost sink? The Rialto Bridge is the oldest and one of the most recognizable bridges in Venice. It began to sink shortly after its construction in the 16th century. Venice itself is subject to constant flooding, so the bridge has gradually sunk over time. Engineers have conducted numerous restoration works to preserve it, but Venice still faces the threat of sinking, and the Rialto Bridge serves as a reminder of the fragility of this magnificent city. How did the USA manage to develop its West Coast so quickly? Not long ago, in the early 20th century, the western lands of the United States were sparsely populated and underdeveloped. But what happened after that? Rapid technological advancement, economic growth, and mass migrations transformed California into not only the most populous, but also the most technologically advanced state. How did Americans turn these wild lands into a global innovation hub? The development of technologies such as the internet and strategic investments in innovation in Silicon Valley have made this region one of the wealthiest and most dynamic in the world. Did you know Bank of America was originally called the Bank of Italy? One of the largest banks in the United States, Bank of America, was originally founded in 1904 in San Francisco as the Bank of Italy. Its founder, Amedeo Giannini, created the bank to serve immigrants and the working class. Over time, the bank expanded and eventually became the financial giant known today as Bank of America. This journey from a small bank for Italian immigrants to an international financial powerhouse is truly a story of success. Believe it or not, octopuses have 3 hearts and 9 brains. Octopuses aren't just extraordinarily smart, they are also built in incredibly unique ways. They have 3 hearts that pump blue blood and 9 brains. 1 central brain and 8 mini brains in each tentacle. These mini brains allow each tentacle to move independently, almost as if they have their own will. Octopuses are so unique that scientists consider them one of the most mysterious creatures on Earth. Why does Turkey build palaces for stray cats? In the streets of Istanbul, you can find miniature houses that look like palaces, built especially for stray cats. The locals consider cats sacred animals and care for them with great love. Some of these houses even feature carvings and balconies, with food and water bowls nearby. These cat palaces have become symbols of Turkey's respect for animals, and tourists often admire these little masterpieces around the city. Wow, in some U.S. states, atheists are not allowed to hold public office. In the U.S., there are 7 states where atheists are legally prohibited from holding public office. This is intriguing, as America is known for its fight for religious freedom. However, in some states, laws still exist that restrict the rights of individuals in public service based on their religious beliefs. This issue remains relevant for many residents seeking legislative changes that would guarantee full religious freedom for all citizens. Amazingly, some doors are always closed. In many historical buildings, especially old castles, there are doors that are never opened. These false doors were created to confuse intruders or ghosts, or simply served a decorative purpose. For example, in British castles, such doors were used to create the illusion of more rooms and to protect residents from unwanted visitors. Today, these doors remain as mysterious architectural elements. Can you imagine that the Beatles couldn't read music? One of the most influential bands in history, the Beatles never learned to read sheet music. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr created their legendary melodies and songs purely by ear, relying on their musical intuition. Despite this, they gave the world hit after hit, forever changing the course of musical history. This fact breaks the stereotype that to create great music, one must be a professional musician who reads music. Their exceptional creative talent and improvisational ability prove that passion and talent matter more than technical skills. Did you know the world's oldest message in a bottle was found after more than a century? In 2018, a bottle washed ashore on a beach in Western Australia containing a message tossed into the Indian Ocean by a German ship in 1886. This message had traveled through the seas for an incredible 132 years before being discovered. Talk about slow and steady mail service. It's a fascinating glimpse into the past, connecting us with a different era. Hard to believe, but the largest iceberg was the size of Jamaica. The largest iceberg ever recorded broke off from the Ross Ice Shelf in Antarctica in 1986. It was about 280 kilometers long and 80 kilometers wide, making its area comparable to the size of Jamaica. This gigantic iceberg was so massive, it could easily have housed entire cities. It drifted in the ocean for several years, slowly melting. Did you know that holding in a sneeze can be more dangerous than it seems? Have you ever tried to hold in a sneeze so as not to draw attention or disturb those around you? But did you know that this habit can lead to serious consequences? When you suppress a sneeze, the pressure in your blood vessels increases sharply, which can cause a blood vessel in the brain to rupture. In extremely rare cases, this can even lead to a stroke. Yes, such an innocent reflex as sneezing, if suppressed, can turn into a health catastrophe. So don't hold it back. Better to let that sneeze out. Penguins propose with pebbles at a lee. Penguin males don't just seek a mate. They stage a true romantic ritual in the icy vastness of Antarctica. When it's time to win over a female, the male carefully selects the smoothest and most beautiful pebble he can find and presents it to his chosen one as a symbol of his affection. If she accepts this gift, she's ready to pair up with him. This charming gesture has become a symbol of courtship among penguins, adding a touch of warmth to the frozen Antarctic landscape. Imagine if we replaced engagement rings with pebbles. El Popo, Mexico's fiery mountain. Popocatépetl, known as El Popo, is one of the most active and dangerous volcanoes in the world, located just 50 kilometers from Mexico City. It regularly spews thousands of tons of gas and ash into the air, keeping geologists and locals on their toes. Its unpredictable nature makes it a constant threat, but also serves as a reminder of nature's power and destructive force. Each eruption of El Popo is a reminder that our planet is alive and capable of awe-inspiring phenomena. Have you ever thought about how whales sing underwater? Whales produce sounds that can be heard hundreds of kilometers away underwater. These sounds help them communicate and find mates, even across vast distances. Whale songs can last for hours, and each one is unique, like a fingerprint. These songs change over the years, making them not just a means of communication, but also a form of cultural heritage passed down through generations. Imagine for a moment that Las Vegas came about purely by chance. In 1829, a caravan traveling from Texas to California lost its way. The desperately thirsty people were fortunate to find a source of fresh water, and they named the place Las Vegas, which in Spanish means fertile meadows. This chance encounter laid the foundation for the city that would eventually become the casino capital and global entertainment hub. Can you guess when the first mobile phone call was made? On April 3, 1973, the first mobile phone call in history was made. This historic moment took place in New York City when Motorola engineer Martin Cooper dialed the number of his competitor. The phone was bulky and weighed over 1 kilogram. This call marked the beginning of a new era in communications, paving the way for the sleek smartphones we carry with us today. Did you know that the resolution of the human eye surpasses any camera? Our eyes can distinguish up to 10 million shades of color with such incredible clarity that no modern camera can compare. Imagine this. The human eye has a resolution of 576 megapixels. This is far beyond even the best photographic technologies available today. We all love high-resolution screens, but we often forget that our own eyes already provide us with the perfect visual experience. And the best part, it's completely free. Did you know that wild bananas are full of seeds? Most people imagine bananas as sweet, soft fruits, but it turns out that wild bananas are quite different. They are literally packed with large seeds, making them extremely inconvenient to eat. The bananas we enjoy today are the result of selective breeding, which has made the seeds almost invisible. Imagine, without human intervention, bananas would be a completely different fruit, and eating them would be far less enjoyable. Have you ever thought about the fact that you can see a double rainbow on Mars? Surprisingly, it's true. On Mars, you can sometimes witness not just one, but a double rainbow. However, these aren't the rainbows we're used to seeing on Earth. The Martian atmosphere is so thin that ordinary raindrops don't form, but rainbows can appear due to fine dust and ice crystals floating in the air. Even though there's no rain on Mars, these dusty rainbows look particularly mesmerizing. But if you want to see one, you'll have to wait. Martian weather phenomena happen very rarely. Turtles, ancient relics with armor from the past. Turtles are among the oldest reptiles on our planet. Their shells are not just armor, but part of their skeleton that has protected them for over 200 million years. They have witnessed dinosaurs come and go, survived ice ages and mass extinctions. Some species can live over 150 years, and leatherback turtles can weigh up to 900 kilograms. They can swim across oceans, covering thousands of kilometers in search of food. Turtles are true masters of survival, carrying their mystery and charm through the ages. Can you imagine a snowflake the size of a plate? In 1887, the largest snowflake ever recorded fell in Montana. It was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick. That's the size of a dinner plate. Imagine being under such a snowstorm. This amazing event went down in meteorological history as the most unusual snow phenomenon. So next time you complain about the snow, think, it could have been much bigger and more impressive. Is it possible that your electronic devices are listening to you? Modern smartphones and smart speakers, such as Alexa and Google Home, can indeed eavesdrop on conversations. Built-in microphones activate when the devices recognize a wake word to turn on. Although companies claim that such data is not saved, many users find that advertisements match their recent conversations, even if they haven't searched for it online. Why do leaves turn red and yellow in the fall? When autumn comes, trees turn off photosynthesis. During this process, the green pigment, chlorophyll, breaks down, and other pigments, carotenoids and anthocyanins, reveal themselves in yellow and red hues. It's like nature putting on a colorful show. Interestingly, the cooler and sunnier the autumn, the brighter these colors will be. Have you ever realized that this is nature's magical performance happening right before your eyes? Can you imagine that eagles symbolize philosophical power? In philosophy, the eagle often represents concepts such as strength, decisiveness, and honor. This majestic bird symbolizes control and authority. The eagle's powerful gaze is seen as a reflection of leadership qualities, inspiring people to consider them as rulers in the realm of ideas. Philosophers have long used the image of the eagle to illustrate the power of thought and action. In the UK, there is a national sport, golf. Do you know its history? Golf originated in Scotland. The first mention of golf dates back to 1497 when King James II banned it to focus citizens on military training. However, in the following years, golf became an integral part of British culture and gained popularity here. Today, golf remains a popular sport, and Scotland continues to host world championships. Why is there a museum dedicated to pasta in Italy? Italy is the land of pasta, so it's no surprise that they have a museum devoted to this culinary masterpiece. In Rome, you can visit the Pasta Museum, where you'll find all kinds of pasta varieties, pasta-making machines, and even historic pasta. This place is for true carbohydrate enthusiasts, where you can learn about the history of creating spaghetti, fettuccine, and other types of pasta that Italians have been making for hundreds of years. Surprisingly, there are also humorous exhibits, like pasta shaped like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's interesting that Italy has a failed skyscraper. In Milan, there is a skyscraper that locals call the Failure. The Pirelli building, constructed in the 1950s, became a symbol of architectural failure, constantly requiring repairs due to design flaws. Despite its modern shape, the building became an object of mockery, but over time, it transformed into one of the city's iconic landmarks thanks to its unusual fate. Did you know that a jiffy is an actual unit of time? The term jiffy is not just a figure of speech. It's a real unit of time. In scientific terms, a jiffy is defined as the time it takes light to travel 1 centimeter in a vacuum, which is approximately 33 picoseconds. While we often use the word to refer to something happening quickly, scientists have made it a measurable moment. This fun fact shows that even the quickest of moments can be quantified if you delve deep enough into the mysteries of time. Can it be true that sharks never stop swimming, even when they sleep? Unlike other fish, sharks don't have swim bladders, so they must keep moving to stay buoyant and breathe. Some sharks can enter a semi-sleep state where half their brain rests while the other half keeps them swimming. Thus, sharks literally swim their entire lives without stopping. It's hard to believe, but sea stars can evert their stomachs. Sea stars have a bizarre and fascinating way of eating. They can push their stomachs outside their bodies to digest their prey. When a sea star encounters something too big to fit in its mouth, like a clam or mussel, it wraps its stomach around the prey, releasing digestive enzymes to break down the food. Once the meal is digested, the sea star pulls its stomach back inside, along with the nutrients. This unique method makes them some of the most unconventional predators in the ocean. Talk about dining al fresco. Did you know that accents in Britain can change every few kilometers? British English is quite different from American English, and its pronunciation has become increasingly diverse in recent years. Accents in various parts of the UK can vary so widely that you can hear a completely different pronunciation just a few kilometers apart. The royal family is trained to speak Queen's English, which is a distinct and unique standard in the language. Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. This famous university was founded in the 12th century, long before the Aztecs began building their great empire in the 14th century. Oxford University has witnessed the rise and fall of entire civilizations and has survived through dozens of historical eras. This academic giant, with its centuries-long history, continues to be a beacon of knowledge and culture, attracting students from all over the world. Imagine, when European cities were just beginning to develop, Oxford was already a center of learning, surviving wars, changing borders and revolutions. The first computer mouse was made of wood. In 1964, Douglas Engelbart invented the first computer mouse, and it was made of wood. This device, with 2 metal wheels, revolutionized how humans interact with computers. Today, modern mice are much more advanced, but that wooden mouse remains a landmark in computer history. Antarctica is the largest desert on Earth. Antarctica, despite all its ice and snow, is actually the largest desert in the world. Yes, you heard that right. The criteria that define a desert are low levels of precipitation, and in Antarctica, very little moisture falls. The average annual precipitation in some parts of the continent is similar to that of the Sahara. This makes Antarctica a true ice desert, where endless ice fields stretch instead of scorching sands. This fact highlights that deserts come in many forms, both hot and cold, and nature always has a surprise in store. Slavery in the United States existed from 1619, but was officially abolished only in 1862 through President Abraham Lincoln's decision. He became a symbol of the struggle for freedom and equality. By that time, slavery was deeply entrenched in American society, and its abolition marked a significant milestone in U.S. history. This act triggered a series of changes in the country's social structure, leading to the Civil War and serious economic and cultural transformations that continue to impact society today. Here's what lies behind the phenomenon of British tea. Tea is not just a beverage, it is a whole culture. In the UK, it is an integral part of daily life, playing a significant role in social interactions and traditions. The history of British tea has its roots in colonial times when Britain actively expanded its empire in India. Tea became an important export, and its consumption became a symbol of English hospitality. Incredible but true. The Arctic tern takes the longest journey on Earth. Every year, the Arctic tern embarks on an extraordinary migration from the Arctic to Antarctica and back, covering up to 70,000 kilometers. This incredible bird follows the sun, living in perpetual summer as it flies from one pole to the other. The Arctic tern's migration is the longest of any animal, showcasing not only its endurance, but also its remarkable navigational skills. It's a testament to nature's astonishing adaptability and the lengths some creatures will go to survive. Did you know Yellowstone is the world's first national park? Yellowstone National Park, established in 1872, was the first national park in the world. Located mostly in Wyoming, USA, it is a true natural wonder. The park is famous for its geysers, hot springs, and wildlife, and it sits atop a massive volcanic caldera. This makes it not only a beautiful, but geologically unique place on the planet. Yellowstone is Mother Nature's masterpiece, attracting millions of visitors each year. Who would have thought that dolphins sleep with one eye open? Yes, it's true. Dolphins have a unique ability to shut down half of their brain while the other half remains active. This allows them to rest while staying alert for predators and maintaining control over their breathing. Imagine being able to sleep while still ready to wake up at any moment. This evolutionary trick helps dolphins survive in the ocean. It turns out the world's smallest reptile is the size of a fingertip. The world's smallest reptile is the leaf chameleon, native to Madagascar. This tiny creature measures only 29 millimeters from nose to tail, smaller than a fingertip. Despite its minuscule size, male leaf chameleons boast bright green and orange patterns, while the females have elegant shades of brown and beige. Discovered in 2012, this remarkable species continues to amaze scientists with its tiny yet colorful existence. Interestingly, the British flag consists of three elements. The flag of the United Kingdom, known as the Union Jack, is a combination of the flags of Scotland, England, and Ireland. This flag was created in 1801 with the official union of Great Britain and Ireland. Despite political changes and even Ireland's independence in 1922, this flag remains a symbol of the country, reflecting its diverse historical heritage. Did you know that Earth is not a perfect sphere? Our planet is far from being a perfect sphere. Its rotation causes it to bulge slightly at the equator and flatten at the poles. This shape is known as a geoid and results from the centrifugal force generated by Earth's spin. The difference in diameter between the poles and the equator is around 40 kilometers. This deviation from a perfect sphere shows how dynamic Earth truly is, always shaped by the forces acting upon it, even in ways we can't see from the surface. Who would have thought that Al Capone's business card was anything but gangster? Did you know that the business card of America's most famous gangster, Al Capone, stated that he was a furniture salesman? This is an intriguing detail from the life of one of the most ruthless criminals of the 20th century. Capone rose to fame in the 1920s due to his criminal empire, yet he concealed his activities in official documents by claiming to run a completely legitimate business. This fact is striking as gangsters often use legal fronts to hide their criminal operations. Did you know car aromas can reduce accidents? It's surprising but true. The right scent inside a car can make driving safer. Studies show that aromas such as lavender or vanilla can calm drivers, reduce stress, and help maintain focus. A relaxed driver is less likely to be involved in an accident, making the choice of car scent not just a pleasant detail, but also an important safety factor. Surprisingly, some snakes have vestigial legs. Yes, certain snake species like boas and pythons still possess tiny vestigial legs called spurs near their tails. These remnants are the evolutionary leftovers from when snakes' ancestors had fully formed limbs millions of years ago. Over time, as snakes adapted to a slithering lifestyle, they lost the need for legs. But these little spurs remain as a fascinating window into the ancient past of these reptiles. It's like carrying a little piece of history on their bodies, reminding us that evolution is full of surprises. How would you react if you knew that in Japan, buildings are made of paper? In Japan, they are developing innovative buildings made from recycled paper. This material is used for temporary structures such as pavilions or exhibition centers. The paper walls are treated with special substances that make them resistant to rain and fire. This is an example of how modern technologies allow for the construction of eco-friendly buildings that are easy to dismantle and recycle, leaving no harm to the environment. Hard to believe, but it takes 8 minutes for sunlight to reach Earth. The sunlight we see every day actually began its journey from the sun 8 minutes ago. This is because the speed of light is about 300,000 kilometers per second, and the distance from the sun to Earth is approximately 150 million kilometers. So every time you look at the sun, you're seeing its past. This fascinating time delay is one of the most interesting phenomena of cosmic physics. Is it true that blood type O is the most common in the world? Yes, blood type O is indeed the most common on the planet. Approximately 38% of the world's population has this blood type, making it not only the most frequent, but also highly valuable for transfusions. Because of its universal compatibility, type O blood can be given to anyone with a positive blood type, which makes it critical in medical emergencies. If you have blood type O, know that you possess a valuable resource that could save countless lives. Did you know the world's most isolated tree was located in the middle of the Sahara? In the vast expanse of the Sahara Desert, there once stood a legendary tree known as the Tree of Tenere. This solitary acacia was the only tree for miles around and served as an essential landmark for travelers. The tree was about 300 years old and survived the harsh desert conditions by tapping into underground water. Sadly, its story came to a tragic end in 1973 when it was accidentally knocked down by a truck. Today, the Tree of Tenere is preserved in a museum, a symbol of nature's resilience and the dangers of the desert. What do you think makes Monument Valley one of America's most majestic natural wonders? Located in Utah, Monument Valley truly impresses with its natural grandeur. This plateau, featuring sandstone formations that can reach heights of up to 1,000 feet, has become a symbol of the Wild West and has been extensively featured in films, creating an iconic image of the American wilderness. These natural monuments, shaped by wind and time, represent more than just a landscape. They are a picturesque chronicle of nature, narrating the millennia-long processes of Earth's formation. Did you know that the King of Sweden has almost no power? Contrary to popular belief, the King of Sweden is not an active political leader. His role is purely symbolic, performing mainly ceremonial duties. Sweden is a constitutional monarchy where political power lies with the parliament and the prime minister. Nevertheless, the king continues to play an important role in the cultural and social life of the country, representing Sweden on the international stage and attending state events. Interestingly, the Swedish royal family is considered one of the most popular and respected in the world, despite having minimal political influence. Did you know that 90% of the population in the US lives on credit? This may be a shocking statistic, but this financial reality has become the norm for most Americans. The country is known for its consumer culture, with nearly 1 in 7 people holding 7 or more credit cards. This dependence on borrowed money is tied to high living standards and the availability of accessible credit, making the U.S. one of the leaders in consumption worldwide. Credit culture is an integral part of the economy and life for Americans, reflecting their approach to finances and lifestyle. How would you react if you learned that the national motto of the USA is "God helps"? This might be surprising, especially in a country where there is no official state religion and freedom of worship is encouraged. The USA is a nation where everyone can choose their own faith, and the government does not interfere in these personal matters. Interestingly, the dollar is not just a currency, but a true icon of the global economy. Its printing is handled by only 12 banks, and the paper for the banknotes is produced by a single company, highlighting the significance of this currency on the world stage. It's hard to believe, but the first university in the U.S. was established in 1636, and it was Harvard. It remains one of the most prestigious institutions not only in America, but also in the world. Harvard has become a symbol of academic success and intellectual wealth, providing its students with the highest quality education. This institution has been the foundation for numerous scientific discoveries and social changes in the country, and has played a key role in shaping the U.S. educational system, which continues to be one of the most advanced in the world. Why does Japan have an island inhabited only by rabbits? On Okinoshima, known as Rabbit Island, hundreds of fluffy bunnies roam freely, feeling like the rightful rulers of the place. Originally, rabbits were brought here for scientific experiments during World War II. After the war ended, they were released and their population grew rapidly. Now tourists from all over the world come to play and feed these friendly animals. Cats and dogs are prohibited on the island to protect the rabbit population. turning it into a true paradise for animal lovers. Did you know that the income gap in the US is enormous? In the US, there is a significant income gap between the richest and the rest of the population. The wealth of the top 1% of Americans is equivalent to that of the bottom 90%. This economic divide continues to grow, leading to social tension and an increase in protests over inequality. More and more Americans are concerned about how the wealthy keep accumulating riches while the rest of the population faces economic hardships. Did you know the U.S. unemployment rate is still surprisingly high? The unemployment rate in the U.S. remains high, despite numerous efforts by authorities to reduce it. There are approximately 11 million unemployed individuals in the country, which is equivalent to the population of Greece. This issue persists even during periods of economic growth, as many citizens continue to experience social insecurity despite government and private sector initiatives. The problem of unemployment is becoming increasingly prominent, affecting millions of Americans, including those with higher education who are unable to find jobs. What do cats purr for, really? We often think cats only purr when they're happy, but they actually use purring as a self-healing mechanism. The sound frequency of about 25 hertz helps cats speed up bone and tissue healing. It's a biological feature that not only relaxes them, but also promotes health. So when your cat purrs, it's not just showing contentment, it's also caring for its well-being. Did you know that turtles can breathe through their butts? Yes, you heard that right. Turtles, especially species like the Fitzroy River turtle, can breathe through their cloaca, the opening they use for reproduction and waste excretion. This amazing ability helps turtles absorb oxygen from the water, allowing them to stay underwater for long periods. This process is called cloacal respiration, and it's yet another example of how unique and diverse survival methods are in the animal kingdom. So next time you see a turtle, remember that it's a true master of breathing from both ends. How would you react to the fact that Winston Churchill was born in a women's restroom? What if you found out that one of Britain's greatest politicians was born in such an unusual place? This fact about Churchill has become almost mythical, and while it may not be true, such astonishing and vivid moments have become part of his legend. Churchill, who served as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom twice, played a crucial role in the Allies' victory in World War II. His speeches, resolve, and ability to make important decisions during the most challenging times of the war are key features of his political legacy. Can you believe the world's smallest monkey weighs only 100 grams? The pygmy marmoset, native to the Amazon rainforest, is the world's tiniest monkey, measuring only 15 centimeters in length and weighing just 100 grams. These miniature primates have big eyes, a long tail, and live in family groups of up to 9 members. They survive by feeding on tree sap, insects, and fruit. Despite their small size, these tiny monkeys are full of life and energy. Male seahorses, a fascinating exception in nature. Did you know that seahorses are the only animals where males carry the offspring? Yes, it's the male seahorses that take on the role of pregnancy. They have a special pouch on their abdomen where the female deposits her eggs. After this, the male seahorse incubates the offspring for about 3 weeks, eventually giving birth to baby seahorses. This unique process makes seahorses one of the most unusual creatures in the animal kingdom. Male sea dragons and pipefish, close relatives of seahorses, also possess this remarkable ability. Nature is full of surprises, and seahorses are living proof that it can break its own rules. The United States is the birthplace of skyscrapers. The first skyscraper was built in Chicago in 1885 and held the record until 1931. The tallest building in the U.S., Freedom Tower in New York, which stands on the site of the destroyed Twin Towers, is currently the 7th tallest building in the world. These architectural marvels symbolize not only strength and technology, but also the resilience of the nation following the 9/11 tragedy. Skyscrapers in the U.S. embody the country's ambitions and its capability to construct unique, magnificent structures that continue to astonish the world. Millionaire. Without a million, how to get rich from scratch? Who would have thought that in today's world, you can become a millionaire without a single penny? The term millionaire has long been synonymous with wealth and success, but did you know that there's a phenomenon called a nillionaire, from the word nil, zero? This term describes people who, in reality, don't have a million or any significant capital, but live a lifestyle that suggests high status. This can be connected to borrowed funds, loans, or the creation of an impression of wealth, though there's no real capital behind it. In an age where social media can turn anyone into a star, this phenomenon is becoming increasingly relevant. Who would have thought that you can appear rich without having real wealth? How would you like to visit the world's most isolated island? Tristan da Cunha is the world's most remote inhabited island, located in the southern Atlantic Ocean. It lies about 2,400 kilometers from the nearest mainland. Around 260 people live on the island, most of whom are descendants of British settlers and shipwreck survivors. Tristan da Cunha has no airports, hotels, or restaurants, and the only way to reach it is by boat on a 6-day journey from South Africa. Did you know that artificial intelligence has been around since the 1950s? Artificial intelligence, or AI, began its development in the mid-20th century and has since revolutionized various industries. From virtual assistants to autonomous vehicles, AI has become an integral part of our daily lives. Today, AI is used in healthcare, finance, transportation, and entertainment, transforming how we live and work. The growth of AI is an incredible journey of technological evolution, showcasing how far we've come in understanding and creating intelligent machines. Incredibly, a blue whale's heartbeat can be heard from 2 miles away. The heart of the blue whale, the largest animal on the planet, beats so powerfully that it can be heard up to 2 miles, 3.2 kilometers away. This amazing fact shows just how enormous and powerful these ocean giants are. A blue whale's heart weighs as much as a car, pumping blood through arteries so wide a person could swim through them. Imagine this natural machine sets the rhythm of an entire ocean. Believe it or not, lasers can actually cool objects. While lasers are typically associated with heat, there are special lasers that can cool objects down to ultra-low temperatures. This process, called laser cooling, is used to reach temperatures near absolute zero. These technologies play a key role in quantum physics and are used in experiments with atoms and particles, leading to groundbreaking discoveries in science. Who would have thought that polar bears have black skin? Yes, beneath their snowy white fur, polar bears actually have black skin. This may seem surprising, but nature designed these animals to have the best possible insulation for surviving in freezing environments. Their black skin helps them absorb more sunlight, while their hollow, transparent fur traps the sun's rays, creating a thermos effect. This incredible adaptation allows polar bears to stay warm in the extreme Arctic cold. Although their fur appears white, it merely reflects the surrounding light, making them almost invisible against the snow and ice. Chocolate cosmos. Imagine a flower that smells like chocolate. The chocolate cosmos, Cosmos atrasanguineus, is a flower that might surprise you with its scent, reminiscent of real chocolate. This dark red flower, native to Central America, is so rare that it's almost extinct in the wild. Yet it continues to be cultivated in gardens worldwide to enjoy its unique aroma. Imagine strolling through a garden where, instead of floral scents, you breathe in the sweet, enticing smell of chocolate. It's nature's gift to those with a sweet tooth. How about this? Dubai has an artificial archipelago in the shape of a world map. The world is an artificial archipelago consisting of 300 islands designed to mimic the outlines of all continents. Each island is intended for private homes or hotels, and owners can choose their country. This project reflects Dubai's ambition, creating incredible landmarks out of sand and water, making them iconic attractions in the region. What if I told you that there's a desert in Chile where it snows? The Atacama Desert is one of the driest places on Earth, but sometimes it snows. This rare natural phenomenon happens due to sudden climate changes and brings precipitation to regions that have not seen rain for years. Snow falling on the red sands of the desert creates an incredible contrast, making this place even more mysterious and astonishing. Tourists from around the world come to witness this unique natural wonder. There is a white giraffe in the world, and it's not a fairy tale. In Africa, a unique white giraffe was discovered, suffering from a rare genetic condition known as leucism. Unlike albinism, leucism allows the giraffe to retain pigment in its eyes, but its skin lacks color. This rare giraffe has become a subject of intense focus and was even equipped with a special tracker to protect it from poachers. Its snow-white color makes it vulnerable, but also a unique creature in the wild. Xbox controllers in U.S. submarines. Gaming revolution at the Navy service. Can you imagine that the U.S. Navy uses Xbox controllers to operate periscopes on submarines? This unexpected fact came about due to a desire to make control systems more intuitive and user-friendly for young sailors who are familiar with video games. Additionally, using off-the-shelf gaming controllers significantly reduces the cost of developing complex military systems. This move not only simplified the work of sailors, but also made it a lot more fun. Who would have thought that a beloved gaming gadget would find a place in such serious conditions? Believe it or not, licking your elbow is almost impossible. Have you ever tried to lick your elbow? Despite all attempts, most people simply can't do it. The reason lies in anatomy. The length of the arm and the position of the elbow make it impossible for the tongue to reach that point. Of course, there are rare exceptions. People with extraordinary flexibility might surprise their friends by succeeding. But for most of us, it's physically impossible, no matter how hard you try. This fun fact is the perfect opportunity to test your abilities and see if you're anatomically unique. But be careful not to hurt yourself in the process. Did you know that many championships in the US are called World Championships, even though no other countries participate? For example, the World Championship of American Football is strictly an American event, featuring only US teams. This approach often raises eyebrows outside the country, but within the US, it's seen as a tribute to the grandeur and uniqueness of local traditions. For Americans, the world is largely confined to their own country, and everything beyond its borders often seems less significant.